One of the best features of VectorWorks is the hybrid symbol. This encases 2D and 3D geometry into a single item. I sometimes get DWG exports from legacy software that have indications of, for example, 2D floor and 3D floor in the class or layer setup, simply because their ability to handle the two separately works, but together they don't work. We're talking about hybrid symbol. We're talking about putting a symbol together. Here is an STL file that was imported, and we like the look of it from the standpoint of how it renders, and we have decided to use it in a project, so we're going to make sure that we have 2D and 3D geometry put together. So we're going to take this and we're going to bring it into a VectorWorks drawing, and what we want to do is to make it into a hybrid symbol. So if we start with the top plan and we make something that's representative of what's underneath, it doesn't have to be complex. In fact, one of the things that I think people often miss is they don't understand the ramifications of complexity. So we're going to put this together. We're going to be cheap about it. We're going to take these guys and we're going to simply align them. And then if we want to make it better than this, we can adjust this. This is another one of those aggravations. I've never understood someone who wants proportional, but it's the default, I'm guessing. So we want symmetry. There we go. That looks a little bit better. The comfy chair underneath might not be the best thing. So we have to change all of these. Now if we take this and we put this together, we're going to pick all of this and we're going to say modify, create a symbol, and this is going to be a hybrid symbol. So notice also that in this modern idiom with VectorWorks, where layer plane, 3D plane, working plane, active plane, screen plane is still vitally important, and it says change the 2D objects to screen plane. Of course we want them to be screen plane. We're going to leave them on the active class, but be forewarned that this is a setup that can cause problems down the line. Since we don't have extra classes in here, we're not going to accidentally assign it somewhere. If we want to assign it somewhere, this is the best place to do it. So we're going to say okay. So now what we end up with is something that is simple. We no longer see the 3D geometry behind us. But when we go to a top plan view, we no longer have to render to get a good look. If we look at the classic 3D geometry, here's this STL import in a top plan view, it looks complex, it looks confusing, it needs to be rendered in order to look like something. So if we go back to our hybrid, we could accentuate the hybrid here now. This is taking it a little bit further, and what we want to do is we're going to edit the 2D component, so we simply double click on it, pick this background rectangle, and we're going to put a gradient onto it, and we're going to leave that gradient alone. We like the look of it. We're going to do the same gradient here. And what we might do with this one is we might change how it is mapped. We're probably going to leave that. Now we're going to put a gradient on here. And I like that one also, but I think I might change the format to rectangular and see how it works out. It's not very good. We're going to go to the attributes mapping tool. Then what we want to do is pull this into the center. And you notice now that there's a little rectangle here and there's some big bars up here. This is a control line here. Notice how it's going in and out. And we're going to try and pull on this here and get a better look at it. It's doing something. I'm going to have to back out here. And so we're going to take this gradient and we're going to put this gradient so it kind of fills up that padded area. So now we end up with something that does not look too bad. And this is the 2D representation. We can even take some of this here, for example. And we're going to put a gray line around this, but we're going to make the gray line a lot thicker. So we end up with something that distinguishes what we're looking at. If you want to be more complex, you can, but sometimes the object of the game is simplicity. So here we have hybrid symbol. So in the top plan view, top plan, we see this 2D representation. The object of the game with the 2D representation is to make it so you can easily grab it and move it. You could move it so that another one is right next to it, as opposed to having all the geometry visible from a 3D object, where you try and grab something and you see that you can grab it in many places here, and you could possibly grab one place or another place.